shagging like mad.
Well, I believe somebody did a study, and there's an absolute correlation between access to the opportunity to shag around and shagging around. People who do jobs that enable them to be away from home.
How did this science experiment happen exactly? What was the...
It's a 1-to-1 ratio of people who have the opportunity and people who do it.
All these scientists go, it's not what it looks like, honey.
For science.
What's not clear is whether it's cause or effect. Do people who want to shag around seek out employment that enables them to have opportunities? Or given the opportunity, or is anybody more likely to shag around?
It's like this sort of causation correlation question around why are so many ice cream men pedos? Is it because every time they get children you're fine?
Why so many of them heroin salesmen? That's what I want to. The ice cream van comes out our village in the middle of winter. There's no fucking way he's selling 99s.
Last time we did a whole thing about Joe Biden that they had to get chopped out. Is that any of
Because
that?
the fucking bastard stood down the next day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, do we want to talk about Joe, or are we kind of done with Joe now?
I think we're done with. We're done with Joe. He did the right thing. What we need to talk about is whether or not the Democrats did this on purpose.
What, shooting Trump or no?
No. Although I wouldn't trust them to fucking manage it. No, what I found myself wondering is that they seemed so ready to react that I almost found myself wondering whether or not they hadn't dragged their feet a little bit on Joe standing down just to let the Republicans do some really stupid shit like pick J.D. Vance. Yeah, I'd be sort of bedded in and they've definitely got Trump and all the rest of it. I just wondered if the decision had actually been made a month or so earlier and they thought, but let's not say anything yet. Let's get all our fucking ducks in a row and then...
I think you're crediting them with a bit too much brains.
I think it's just been a sort of a fortunate thing that Trump and the Republicans are fucking raging because he's spent so much money to opposing Joe Biden.
Yeah.
As
warehouses full of shit with Biden's name on it.
He's still trying to use all these anti-Joe Biden lines now. Because I don't know if he remembers who he's actually standing against.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, J.D. Vance, he just replaced the name. He's just doing the same talking.
It's like edit, find, replace on all the documents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris is too old.
Yeah. How do you do it?
Kamala.
Basically, her debate strategy was to stay absolutely on point with, repeating things. She'd obviously rehearsed really well so that she could get a few set things out. And then towards the end of her 2 minutes or however long it was, poke Trump straight in the fucking eye with something that'll make him fizz. And then finish. To which Trump then can't resist but say, mad shit. Like, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Yeah.
Hello.
But her strategy of when he's saying, the most insane, vile shit, I feel like the Democrats, when Hillary was running, the response to that would be outrage. Yeah, I'm absolutely outraged. This is appalling. Her strategy was just to fucking kill herself laughing at him. She's I was like, that's brilliant. Yeah. Because he does not know how to react.
No, and like most arseholes, he's got absolutely no sense of humour. He's certainly got no sense of humour about himself. No ability to laugh at himself. And just having this attractive black woman laughing in his face about him saying mad shit. And
Yeah.
Off he goes.
She was doing this great pose as well where she sort of crosses her arms and she put her chin on her fist and she just leans back and stares at me with a big smile on her face is this shit for real? It's exactly what everyone watching is thinking.
Yeah. It's good to know she's pulled the nose up on that laugh because that awkward laugh of hers was really quite weird at certain times, but she's now channeled it into something positive.
And I feel like we're seeing, so I mean, before Joe Biden sort of won last time, Kamala Harris was obviously one of the candidates and she dropped out quite early. But I mean, I'd was aware of her for some time before that, because when she was a senator, she was on one of the Senate committees, at least one of the Senate committees, and I just kept seeing footage of her absolutely fucking disemboweling people, because she's she's equivalent of a fucking KC here, and then she was Attorney General for California. So she's done her fucking courtroom time dealing with arseholes in the box, and she's good. She's really, really good.
And the fact that Joe was so bad as well, it makes it even more stark, like contrast. You see how it's done properly,
Yeah.
So is it, are we thinking pretty positive result there in terms of Trump not getting back in?
There's a very good chance that she wins. What we need to be worried about is the sheer amount of shithousery that the Republicans are up to with regards to putting people in key positions in election administration, in sort of dodgy swing states, or just dodgy, states that should be, that swing states that look like they're going to them, but they are currently in Republican hands in terms of who's running them. So there's a lot of concern about that. There's going to be a lot of irregularities. There's going to be states that refuse to fucking sign off on their results because they've put a load of nut jobs in charge of sort of election organisation committees and things like that. So that's what we need to be concerned about. But I think she is pulling ahead. I mean, I find it very difficult to understand how so many people can still be voting for Trump. It makes no sense to me. But I suppose it's just a kind of willful blindness as to what he is.
How's it skewing at the moment in terms of...
She's ahead.
Yeah, but is it significantly ahead? Or?
Well, if you look at people who are enthusiastic voters, so people who have voted in the last few elections, she's like miles ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it depends how many people they can get out to vote. And that's part of the problem, like you were saying, like the Republicans are trying to come up with these strategies to, cheat basically. So they're making it hard as possible for people, that whole thing we had here with you having to take your ID, all that kind of stuff they're doing. They're going to do, in Georgia, apparently hand counting all the votes, which
can take days.
I mean, we do it like that here, but we've got it planned out to do that.
Yeah.
They don't.
We've got an incredibly simple system, and we're voting on one thing at once. So the presidential elections, they're also voting on a whole load of down ticket things, as they call it, which means they'll be voting potentially for a senator, for congressman, for fucking local dog catcher, for attorney general, all this shit. So their ballot paper is enormous, which is another one of the reasons why their fucking queue's out the door. So they've been using machine voting for years and years and years. And I mean, you can be conspiratorial about that. There are issues. Sometimes it's just to do with the way the screens are calibrated. So people are pressing one button. I mean, we've all had this, right? Where you type in something on your phone, for instance, and screen calibration is ever so slightly off, and it keeps putting an eye when you want something else, and it's rage. But so the same thing can happen with the screens there, where people are trying to press one thing and confirm, and it's not working, and this all leads to queues backing up out the door. And guess who gets the shittiest, oldest machines? That's right, black neighbourhoods. But they're voting on a whole load of things, and what usually happens is that when they're using an electronic terminal like that, it produces a paper ballot that's then read by a machine. So it's a printout thing that then has to be kind of scanned by computer, and to try and hand count all of that is nuts. And I mean, I've observed in a Hollywood election where you've got the split paper with the regional votes, and it takes fucking ages. It takes much longer to do.
I think that's their plan, just to drag it out as long as possible, so that it can get to nearer the date and they can start putting in court filings against all the results and all this, and just cause as much chaos as possible. Yeah. And they're doing all this because they know they're going to lose, I think, because,
of course, if they're
so badly.
winning, they wouldn't need to.
I wonder if Trump is regretting telling his entire voter base that the elections are all rigged and that there's no point voting, and also postal votes don't count. I wonder if there's any reflection around that at all.
I mean, I think we need to be concerned about the fact that he keeps saying out loud, "You'll only need to vote this once, and then you won't get to vote again."
Ever again?
So
It'll fix it for you.
And I mean, he did all this mad stuff last time. People said, "No, he's just saying that." I mean, he'll be fine once he's in. Was he? No, he's fucking mental. He's telling you what he intends to do. I would advise that you believe him and vote accordingly.
You're saying about the Democrats maybe planning this out.
I think they may be held back a couple of weeks.
I think you're probably right that the timing of it was definitely kind of planned. But I did see AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is that right?
Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah. She was really kind of upset about the whole process of the thing, and she did like a live where she was talking about kind of shambolic stuff going on in the background in the Democratic Party. How there's loads of people who are really unhappy about Kamala apparently just getting kind of boosted into the position without any vote or anything like that. So it did sound like it was more shambolic than planned, but I think you're definitely right that they kind of left it to the most appropriate moment they possibly could to get the most benefit out of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's still dodgy. I mean, like, just giving her the presidential nomination just without any say-so from anyone else. I mean, I don't know who else would have been better for it, honestly.
No one.
No.
Probably
is the short answer.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, the timing of it is the only fucking sensible thing or strategic thing the fucking Democrats have done in the last, 8 years?
But it makes you think, like, all the people who did keep him in for that long and were happy and prepared to just stick with him. And I think it was mostly just self-preservation because they knew fine well anyone else became the president, they'd be booted out,
Yeah.
They were just like Joe's guy in that job. I think that's really what's happened. All his hangers-on were just like, no, we've got to keep him in or we're out of here.
I think also the Democrats are much more respectful of their own internal hierarchy than is useful for them, which is why Hillary was the fucking candidate in 2016 when she absolutely should not have been. Right? They just can't quite get past their own sense of this is the orderly queue, that their own sort of structure brings up. Whereas the Republicans, because they are fucking a bunch of rabid squirrels in a sack.
Oh, no, that makes them sound quite cute.
Just fucking bite each other to death until one emerges,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of felt that Joe wasn't quite as bad as like a president position, but I just thought he was terrible at all the debate stuff. But I did listen. When you listen to him long form, it is very waffly, but it does make sense. I think he wasn't quite, completely lost his marbles as the media were trying to kind of put across.
He's been perfectly fine since, hasn't he? Since the pressure is up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's just knackered.
Yeah, I think that was it. There was
I think they were pumping him full of amphetamines every single time he had to appear on television, so now he's probably not in constant speed.
I think it was the Ukraine thing where he introduced the president of the Ukraine as Putin, which was really bad.
I can't believe I'm telling this, but you should look at footage of Joe Biden when he was like in his 40s and speaking. He always did this.
Yeah.
Joe Biden had a stutter, had a stammer, and it's still, sometimes you still hear it. I mean, he's really overcome it, but it's still there. And that's an audio processing issue. And people who stammer also often, he was known for gaffes. It was absolutely fucking synonymous with just, calling his mum his dad kind of thing. And so he's got both of those things going in his brain at the one time, and the wrong word pops out. He fucking knows Zelensky isn't Putin. He's not fucking mental, but the wrong word pops out.
This is where I would blame the medium slightly more for how they approached it. So I watched that as it happened live, but then he did a whole, I think it was like 60 minutes with the press, just talking to them. And when he was asked a question about the press, he would give an answer, and actually the answers were all really good, but they all took 10 minutes too long. Like, what he couldn't do was condense the point down to a nice 30-second soundbite that works in our modern media environment. And the problem is that the journalists now don't do what they would have done years ago, which is sit and listen to that 10 minutes and translate it into that short form story.
Like what they do with Trump, unfortunately, most of the time. You get all these journalists who, like, if you listen to what he's actually saying, it's just all the garbled nonsense, and then they make it sound as if we had a point.
The other day he was talking about Canada having a big tap. Canada has a big tap, and this tap causes all the spare water in Canada to just flow into the ocean instead of going to California, where California needs it because California's got a drought. And when he's president again, he's going to make them turn the big tap on so that California's got your face as a fucking picture. I am not making this up.
I wonder.
Got to turn the big tap on so that and like
he's all hits, no misses. I mean, just when you think that guy's come out with the craziest shit, the big tap is like, that's an old timer. It's a brilliant comedy bit. Fantastic.
But right, so usually when Trump says things that are so mental, not just mental, because like he says mental things all the time, but when he says something where you're just like, where the fuck did that come from? I've never heard anything like it in my life. Usually you can actually trace it back to, it will sound a bit like, or there will be words in common with something that is actually true that he's heard from somebody, probably like lost interest halfway through them talking and filled in the blanks. So you hear him all the time at his rallies talking about they're emptying out their asylums, their mental asylums in all these other countries, and they're sending them across our border. We're getting all of these people for their mental asylums. Asylum seekers. The word asylum. He's heard the word asylum, and he keeps talking about the late, great Hannibal Lecter. Like all these people from the asylums, like the late, great Hannibal Lecter, because he fucking heard somebody say the word asylum seeker. So I wonder what the Canada's big tap, I wonder what that could possibly be traced back to. Any thoughts?
I mean,
That's fucking unhinged.
He's such a good improv comedian, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he would be an improv troupe's gift. I mean, the fact that he can come out with shit is mental as that.
There were various bits on Twitter of, Canadians just sort of, does anybody kind of know where the tap is? Do you know what I mean?
We're looking to go to the tap. Where's the tap? Where's the tap?
But and the tap was, I think you said, like, the tap was fucking miles wide or some nonsense like that. Like, the tap, it takes a whole day to turn the tap on. And
Is the tap in the room with us right now?
I mean, another one was, he was talking about the debate to, I think, Fox News, and talking about how great he did at the debate and how he definitely won the debate. And the audience went wild. And then you just got commentator after commentator on Twitter going, there was no audience at the debate. And somebody did tweet, is the audience in the room with us now, Don? It's
a standing ovation in his mind. Just, all the time.
I like, obviously, he's a fucking danger to democracy and a huge threat. But I will maintain that he is the funniest president in America.
It's the best that's ever done it.
Oh, yeah.
I just wish that nature would hurry up and give him the kind of McDonald's embolism toilet death that he's definitely going.
That sounds like a death threat here.
Yeah.
And shaky ground.
I'm just
It's going to be more effective.
FBI is going to be bursting through any minute.
I'm just predicting that a sort of Elvis themed death awaits him based on everything that I've heard about his diet.
Also, I'm reasonably confident that you can just fucking threaten his life and no one will do anything, because there was a guy with a fucking rifle allowed in his rally, and they were just like, I think there's a guy with a rifle up there. Oh, it's probably going to be fine. We'll see how it plays out.
The bit that I liked best about that was that apparently they refused to go up there because it was a health and safety risk to them because the roof was at an angle.
Yeah.
What?
Quite right.
What? Yeah, the Secret Service, you're meant to take a bullet. Can't do a ladder.
If it for that guy, that's the thing, isn't it? You're going, it's not exactly like, Harrison Ford in Air Force One you're taking a bullet for here. This is like, he basically stick him in a clown suit. It's bozo,
Oh.
So, I don't know.
You ever seen the Jerk, Steve Martin?
Yeah.
Remember when, like, there's a guy shooting at him through a sniper rifle and it's hitting all these oil cans? Like, hey, this guy hates cans. I was expecting Trump to go, this guy must hate yours. Everyone, hate your ears. Imagine if the second guy had got a shot off and hit him in the other ear. Like, I think it would have started a cult, like a Trump cult, where they thought he's like God or something. He's like bulletproof.
I think that kind of is already where the bad people are.
looked like a fucking badass, though. I mean, the dumbest man ever lived after being shot at, but the way that he just stood up and put his arm in the air. I mean, the dumbest thing anyone can do in that situation. But I mean, he looked like a fucking hero doing that shit. It's like the photograph of that is incredible. It actually makes him look really cool. I'll fucking say that.
And,
like, yeah.
I mean, very dumb, but like,
Yeah.
Americans love like dumb, cool things, so that tracks. But it's like, this was an assassination attempt, not the end of the fucking Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
That's important distinction. It's not fucking cool, but it's the most American image I've ever seen. Like that is America, pure America right there.
Yeah. Rock flag and eagle.
Yeah. But just, the second guy had a go, didn't hit the other ear. But what's happening with him now? He's not. The Secret Service didn't kill him. He's now in a jail cell somewhere, being interrogated about why he was going to kill Trump or something.
Did he? So how many has there been now? Has there just been the two? Because there was the guy who was hiding in the bushes.
At time of recording, there's been two, because it could be on tomorrow.
The second guy never got shot off. They saw him and shot at him. The Secret Service shot him
he ran off.
and then chased him and caught him and stuff. And he's obviously got mental health problems and stuff. And just now they've got him held based on he was a felon already, so he's got some previous.
I think it's worth pointing out that both of the people who have tried to shoot Trump so far have been Republicans. I think we should just point that out.
Yeah, they're like, in both cases, there's got a mishmash of crazy political views, so it's not as if there's any.
The second one, I understand, had tried to join the kind of Ukrainian Legion, and they turned him down despite how desperate they are, because they thought he was fucking bonkers.
Yeah, we don't even want you for cannon fodder. Thank you very much, but please go home to America. Nutcase.
Yeah, I have higher standards for even our human shields. Thank you very much.
You'll endanger the cats. Off you fuck.
So they've actually just got him on like gun charges this night, because he shouldn't have had a gun at all, but it was also it's like get rid of the code, the number in the gun and stuff like that. So I don't know if they'll even charge him for like anything else. Because the thing is, like,
happy, one of the first fucking things that Trump signed into law when he became president was relaxing the laws around people with mental health problems having access to guns.
Exactly.
Me sewing, yeah, fuck yeah.
And a lot.
Well, what the fuck?
Brains blowing out his skull, Oh, dear.
Someone should have done something about this.
How it started, how it's going.
Yeah, because a lot of places in America you can just stand next to a golf course with like a automatic rifle and you're not committing any crime whatsoever, even if a president's kicking about.
Yeah.
America having a normal one.
Yeah. I had heard about the second assassination attempt, but I've not looked into it at all, because I was just about like, God, the writers are really lazy this season. Like, we've already done that. Like, just fucking give me something new. But yeah,
You think also, because I think it was an AK-47, which is not a good rifle with a gun to use for long distance shooting anyway. But like, it's like rapid fire. Like, would you not just unload? I'm not suggesting anyone should just do this, but I'm just saying, if you
like, had it been me.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know why Lee Harvey also had to do the kind of single shot and the reload and all that thing. But if you can get a machine gun and an AR-15, like, you don't have to go pew pew. You can just again, don't saying you should do it. I'm just
probably edit this part. You sound mental right now.
I'm just confused. I mean, if it was me going, I think that, to come back to a more serious point, I think the Democrats' language around this whole gun stuff has been really weird, because, like, on the one hand, they keep talking about how, like, this guy is Hitler too. He's like super fucking dangerous. He's the most evil man to ever exist. But don't shoot him. Like, don't do that. And that's a kind of weird.
Come out and be like,
yeah, I know, but
shoot him.
they keep saying things like, I'm so glad he's okay and things like this. I'm like, if you do that, you know what I mean? Like,
he is Hitler, and also I can, as the fucking president, be like, you should shoot him because he's Hitler. You can't
Go back
do
in
that.
time,
Yeah.
kill him as a baby.
I mean, I think you could say, like, speaking to any potential time travellers out there, if you did want to go back in time and shoot Donald Trump as a baby, like, maybe you could say that, but I don't think you should.
I think the point I'm making, though, is not so much about the gun stuff, it's about the comparisons they made previous to him being this, like, ultra dangerous guy. Is that actually warranted? Because when it's put to the test with people trying to assassinate him, they're like, oh no, he's not that bad. So that's what I'm kind of meaning, is like the exaggeration.
I think this is a no-win situation.
Yeah.
You have to alert people to the threat that he represents. You also shouldn't be recommending the people.
But just don't shoot him.
Yeah, well,
that's the line.
JD
Don't
Vance.
elect him. There's a happy middle ground between don't elect him, and don't kill him. Yeah.
Yeah. And also he's very funny, so as long as he's not in the White House or has any power over anything, he should be allowed to exist and keep being funny.
Yeah, from an outsider point of view, we were quite happy for him to stay in the race, be alive.
I think
to still live.
that America could do would actually to sort of build a kind of Truman Show type thing for him and let him think he's president.
That would be great.
Put golf courses.
This was the
let him think he's president, and then he just won't bother us.
Isn't that what happened in his first 4 years?
But this was the idea of it. I think we talked about this when he got elected. The idea was that he wanted to do Trump TV. So this was going to be Trump TV and it was going to have all the info. People weren't going to be on it. But he accidentally won.
Yeah.
Why he became the president. The idea was to get as close as he could, lose, and then use that as the jump off point for all this like Trump media stuff. But yeah, then he accidentally won.
He kind of reminds me, I don't know if you ever watched The Big Bang Theory, but like his absolute determination to be president again, it kind of reminds me of when Howard decides he wants to go into space again and everybody has to say, look, mate, you fucking hated it. Do you not remember? You were terrible. Like they have to get one of the other astronauts to say, you know, like you have to be to be an astronaut. You have to have the right stuff. The stuff you've got is wrong.
So you think he is doing it for the love of the game, or that's an interesting point. Like, or is he doing it because of basically he's got in such bad money troubles and he needs
legal troubles.
That's legal troubles. Yeah, he needs to get the authority to then pardon himself. Basically, it's the only reason why he's doing this.
They're just the reason campaign funds that he can siphon off.
But also, I think psychologically he cannot handle the fact that he lost.
No, he doesn't like.
Even though he doesn't want to do the work.
Yeah. I just really like the idea of, like after accidentally becoming the president, they just like cut to him behind the desk of the Oval Office and be like, "You're probably wondering how I got here." Just like
Well, this is where like Melania's whole deal comes from, because she also didn't want to be like, you know, the first lady, but you know, it's like, for fuck's sake, I've got to do this now. I do love the fact that we got all the doppelganger Melanias, all the sort of lookalike doubles and shit. I definitely believe in that conspiracy theory. Is she around? Has she divorced him yet? Is that
not divorced him, but she's no.
So if he does, he's not going to win probably. But if he did win, would she have to do the whole first lady thing all over again?
They could just pick one of the Melanias, couldn't they?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, how many more Melanias can we get through? And I think that spot the difference exercise could get quite funny.
Is he not going to ditch her for Laura Loomer?
Oh shit!
There's been all sorts of rumours.
Really?
She's insane.
Yeah, she's the most mental.
Even by their standards, she's bad. You know, like
the clips. I've seen, because I've heard the name, but they've got so many terrible Lauras. Like they've got like Loomer, Ingram. Like there's loads of them. But I had heard the name. So many bad Lauras. I am fucking. My back hurts from all the fucking effort I'm doing to try to uphold the Laura name. They're not making it easy, but I had never actually heard her talk. I just assumed she was just, generic, attractive Republican woman, like just Fox pundit. And then I started seeing some of the clips of some of the shit she's saying, and my jaw was on the fucking floor, and that's not easy to do anymore, because I feel like I've heard it all, but I was like, she fucking get it.
She comes out with stuff. It's like listening to fucking stand-up from the 1970s. Oh, yeah, the White House is going to stink of curry. What are you talking about?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, she's full into the full, 2025 thing.
Yeah.
The Heritage Foundation's like mad plan, and she's like saying, once Trump gets in, he's going to like round up all the Democrats to like assassinate them all and stuff like that. So she's actually a full-on like neo-Nazi mental case.
Jesus Christ.
She's the one that chained herself to the front of Twitter's headquarters as well.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Right. Fuck, I hadn't heard that.
Chained herself to the door. Everyone was just walking in and out of the door. Like, she just like chains to that door handle. Everyone's like, what are you doing there?
Why?
Who are you?
She's trying to prove some sort of point about cancellation or something like that.
So is that what we got to look forward to then? To them being like the first...
I don't support all women. Some of your bitches are dumb.
They're going to be the first new monarchy of America if they get in.
The fascist like that. How are QAnon getting on? Are QAnon still doing their thing? Are they still a thing? Is that all wrapped up now?
I think there are still people who have completely lost their family members, their friends. They're just they'll never be able to let the Q thing go because they've ruined their entire fucking lives. But I think generally the Q thing died out because of the there was like the final plan, and then obviously Trump stopped being the president. They're like, well, nothing actually happened. So I think there was a lot of anger from the Q people. There was a lot of people who actually turned against Trump completely.
Now they're all would-be assassins.
Yeah. they're not failing this.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, there's where they all went. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, when the Q thing was basically a cult.
It was a cult. Yeah, it was.
And it just sort of reached the point where you would expect logically that people would be able to jump off because, as you say, nothing happened, and all of the babies that were allegedly being, kept in cellars and under pizza parlors and things weren't magically released and whatever. But when faced with these things, a lot of cults. I mean, there's another phenomenon whereby they decide that because of their, I think there was one that was sort of observed by psychiatrists, and then a couple of the psychiatrists actually ended up getting involved in the cult. But they had an end of time thing, like they thought that it was the end of the world and all the rest of it. And then when it didn't happen, they reasoned with themselves that what had happened was that their goodness and their belief and had saved the earth.
Yeah. It's almost impossible when somebody is
mentalists like that.
Yeah, when someone's bought into the cult thing, because it does demand such personal sacrifice. Because if you're willing to do all this thing, then you're fucking locked in.
Yeah.
So oftentimes when these like doomsday things don't come to pass, because fucking obviously, because you're all mental, but actually rather than serving as evidence that you're all mental and this is all fake, it becomes confirmation that they're very correct, actually.
Yeah.
Just fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
Call your dad. You're in a cult. Just have somebody come and pick you up.
It's really interesting. I'm reading a book at the moment called Willful Blindness, which is a study of this sort of thing. And I can't remember the details of it, but one of the little case studies was that cult, whereby a couple of the people that were meant to sort of inveigle themselves in to observe it ended up actually getting enmeshed in it, which gives you an indication of how vulnerable even smart people are.
That's the lady.
You work yourself into a shoot, brother.
But like the treatise of the whole book really is the extent to which, through a variety of things, like sort of bystander effect being and other sort of similar things, it's actually really, really difficult to point out when the emperor is naked, and we tend to turn on people who do. Yeah, we don't like people. That's why whistleblowers need legal protection.
No.
But it hasn't segued into something else. I think that's why we brought up the Q thing. So it's not evolved. It's just sort of puttered out. It's not become a new thing.
I think it's all just mental now.
Yeah, I think it's actually sunk into the ground.
Let's just be crazy. Let's fuck it. We're already here anyway.
Yeah. Rather than it sort of turned into something else, whatever. I don't think they're all wearing Q t-shirts anymore. But those people have basically sunk into the groundwater that everybody's drinking, I mean, you've got people who, like fucking Dick Cheney, who's coming out and saying, no, I'll vote for Kamala. Right? Dick fucking Cheney. Like, who...
That's where you bring up the picture of the worst person in the world. Has made a great point.
Fucking... and it needs to be borne in mind that after the fucking... And on the lead up to the January 6th stuff, it was... Dick Cheney, who was actually... I fucking hate how to say nice things about Dick Cheney. This is really hard. It was Dick Cheney who was fucking organising behind the scenes to make sure Trump didn't get away with a fucking coup. Dick Cheney! Yeah. You're too bad for Dick Cheney! The guy with a fucking man-sized safe full of stuff in his fucking office who basically ran George Bush with his fucking hand up his arse, running his mouth.
He did one good thing at last.
Waterboarding is fine, but Donald Trump, that's a step too far.
Well, we did talk about that. Was it after he lost or after he won? But I remember that we did talk about how that because he's so, I don't know, like stupidly evil. It's a dumb kind of evil that Trump is, but you I'm sure said at the time, Free, about how if you do look back at the Bush administration, though, like if you actually put Trump's administration next to Bush, like Bush's one's way more evil.
Yeah, I think it's mostly because they were able to get stuff done. I think Trump first administration
Say
had
what you
no
like about
clue.
Dick Cheney. He
Yeah.
gets stuff done.
Yeah.
Instead of fascists, they got the trains running, at least they achieved something.
Is that because that's what's looking around? The concern we always have is the what if somebody competent and evil eventually comes in. Hence why I'm asking about the QAnon thing about so we're mentioning like Laura Loomer and stuff. What's her name? Loomer, is that right? Yeah.
Zuma, to rhyme with Zuma.
Yeah. Hi. And it's that the direction of travel. Like, once Trump likely loses, what is the next generation of mad?
That they're digging their own graves right now, because this kind of movement cannot maintain this level of fucking insanity. They, I think, are consolidating too early. I think so some of their more mental neo-Nazi fucking tendencies that were dog whistles before, I think they're now overestimating how well that goes down with the general Republican base. And they're just fucking saying it. And then Republican voters are going, what? What? I don't even know what the fuck. So I think that they are a victim of their own perceived successes. I think they are digging their own graves.
Jumping the shark.
I think we can just step back and we're just go, look, they're fucking looking themselves, and they're all turning on each other. And when Trump doesn't win, he's going to turn on everybody, and the Republican Party is going to have to untangle themselves from Trumpism, because whoever the next nominee is,
that's what
has to get away from that. So I really, part of me is very hopeful that we're going to get some really good TV out of this over the next few years.
Yeah.
Instead of before, like I said, I was more worried about what would come after Trump. I didn't realise what was going to come after Trump would be an even worse Trump. I was not my bingo cards.
We thought surely that's the threshold. Surely. No, there's more. Oh, fuck.
So
Yeah, he is a fat-filled turd that will not flush.
Yeah.
So I think all these legal troubles and all this kind of stuff and financial problems has made them have to double down and all these madness. Also, a lot of the people who are nice, like first administration, are either in jail or won't get security clearance to work in the government ever again, at least, or have turned against them. So now he's left with the maddest hangers on. I mean, the first lot were bad enough, Giuliani and all that. But this law now is like your 4chan nutcases, your Lawler Loomers.
Yeah.
JD Vance is like absolute nutcase too.
The best thing to be said for them is that they probably, if they do manage to claw their way back into power by cheating, and that will be the only way that they win is by cheating, but if they do manage to do it, that something that they will have difficulty actually getting anything done, but one of the problems is that during the last presidency they did actually these cunts that are always going on about the deep state, they did actually deep state a load of their own nutcases in various kind of civil service roles. So there is the potential that they just completely unravel a lot of the sort of day-to-day organisational stuff of like running the country in America. But I mean, I don't think they're going to win. I think if you look at what happens when people really feel they need to vote, and people do sort of pour out and vote, as they did in 2008 for Barack Obama, and the swing was massive. The Republicans were doing all sorts of fucking dirty tricks, but the margin was just too big. There was nothing that they could have done to actually prevent the outcome. So you kind of have to hope for that. And then what I really, really hope for is that in the subsequent 4 years, while Kamala Harris is president, is that Donald Trump fucking dies on the toilet, and this is fucking over with, right? They're just fucking one Big Mac too many. And
well, they get the Elvis treatment where people will think he's not really dead. and like that'll go on and become the next kind of like cult thing that he's actually just like, oh, he's underground somewhere. Really freaky people that thought like, I remember like, wasn't there not someone that got interviewed once where they thought that Joe Biden was played by Jim Carrey in a mask and stuff like that? Like that's how insane some of these Trump people are. So I don't think that's beyond the realm of possibility. Actually, even after he's dead, he'll get kind of Messiah.
Pictures of Trump's Last Supper.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. Like, this is the second coming of Trump. Yeah, I think that I think we kind of are at peak, because ever previous I had all these concerns with like Mike Pence and stuff like that. But I think that you're right. I think that they've pushed it, they've jumped the shark, and I think now it's going to be about probably either 10 years of course correction. But I think by that point it's like really Republican politics, and in like the next 2 decades, I don't even know. It doesn't feel generationally that's going to get handed down maybe as much as it previously had been. It's a bit like, it's kind of the Tory party over here. It's sort of hard to see that existing really at all in the way that it existed.
Like factor, because the divide between the Trumpists and the non-Trumpists.
You need a normal right-wing party. Like you need.
There's a bit of an oxymoron, isn't it?
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
You are right, but you're both correct. Yeah,
as normal as you can possibly.
You need a normal centre-right option for people.
Well, the Democrats.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay, so what America...
They would basically be conservatives in the UK.
I know, it's mental, isn't it?
I mean, that's the kid. To me, that is, you want to get conspiratorial, that's the thing, isn't it? Because as long as the Republican Party is this insane clown show, you can just have perpetual conservatism in America based on the Democrats. So it suits, if that's the agenda of things, that things are playing out the way they are.
In other countries where it seems like that.
Yeah, I know. It's Operation Familiar, isn't it? Yeah. I think, but you're right about the fracture thing, though. I think that is the way it's going to end up. I think the Republican Party's got a fracture in the same way that the Tories. You've seen that already happening. I don't want to segue onto like the leadership kind of debate and all that for the Tory Party, but it's the same thing over here.
Has anybody even been paying any attention to the Tory leadership debate?
Oh, it comes. They just, I think, saw the ex-military guy getting interviewed on like BBC Breakfast one day. And you're just like, okay, and it was just like, I think it was Kunzberg interviewing him. It's like, oh, here's all the things you said, and here's all the things you've changed your mind on. It was all the usual.
Yeah, I'm not paying attention, because whoever they pick is not going to be the leader of the party come the next election anyway. There's zero chance of that.
I have to say, I mean, when we recorded last, you said that you didn't think Starmer would last, and I found that a little bit odd at the time. But just parked it. But I actually think now that you're correct. I don't think he's going to last. I think he's really, really poor at this.
I think to clarify what I think I meant at the time or said was that I think that he will basically take all the heat. And I think it could be kind of planned. I think that Angela Rayner will be the leader by the time of the next election. I think she'll be very popular and do very well. But I think this initial, I think as you said about like, well, kind of like tighten our belt straps and, all that kind of shit because the economy's gubbed. I think the idea is probably to put the heat on him for that, and like, any negative feeling about where we are is blame Starmer, but protect Angela. So when we get to year 4,
I actually don't think that.
It may not be a strategy, but I think it's probably how it will play out. I think people will not want him. I think she will be the leader by the time of the
election. Get on. I agree.
Well, it's not a strategy in that case. It's just I think that's the reality of the perception of the public will be, this guy's to blame for the sunshine and rainbows not happening. She talks like she can do the sunshine and rainbows. We like her better. And I think that'll be politics.
I think under Starmer, my concern before the election, and so far I think it's actually fucking bore out, was because he is desperate to appeal to the establishment traditional Tory voting class. His Labour Party is going to be far more performatively conservative in the policies that they push than the Tory Party would be, because the Tory Party didn't have to. The Tory Party, they had the backing of those people, so they could give a little bit more money to the NHS for this, or they do furlough without people being like, you're communists, because it's the Tory Party. But because he wants his Labour Party to win the favour of these people who, by the way, will never fucking give him that, because nobody respects a class traitor. And they have the Tory party for that. They don't want the Labour Party.
But it's also that the turnout for the election was so low, and that's what you're saying, that I don't really understand what Starmer's strategy for the long term even is, because I mean he got less votes than Corbyn did.
Mm-hmm.
So like this is not a popular man, but he's sort of, the media are acting like he is, and it's very, this is, we're more about the media all the time on this podcast, but the way that's not really being questioned at any point of like having sort of gutted out the party and said that Jeremy Corbyn is like fucking Satan personified. Well, you got less votes than him, so what the fuck's going on here, pal? Yeah. And as you're saying, that if you're trying to curry favour with that group, they're probably not going to vote for you anyway at the expense of literally everybody else. I can't see how that works in 4 years' time, you know, and therefore I think that Angela's, I just think that whether or not she is like legit and the good type of person, all this stuff, I just think the perception is she seems slightly more what the Labour Party should be than he is.
I actually just think she's a much smarter political operator.
Well, I
think she
way better performer as well. Way better.
You know, I'm sure he's very clever, but I think he's actually incredibly bad at adjusting course. Whereas I think Angela Wren is very politically deft. I think she is. I think she's smart and thinks on her feet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to come back to the US election, though, but in terms of the direction of travel then, so do we think it's not going to get super fashy? We think that side of things has gone too mental, it's going to dial down, but we're thinking we're going to be hovering around sort of centre-right conservatism.
Is you'll get, you know, so option one, Kamala Harris wins. She wins pretty handily. The Republicans try some shit, but they really get nowhere. She's fine. They've tried that shit twice in a row, and it's not worked. And what will happen is a lot of people will just sort of pretend they weren't involved, because that's what always happens, right? People just, you know, there's a known phenomenon about people lying to pollsters about how they voted last time. And it's one of the things that pollsters have to take into account, that if you believed what people told you, then a different party would have been in power last time, because people tell you that they voted last time for the person that they're going to vote for this time.
Yeah.
And we're sure we could all understand why that might be, because, you know, you might be a little bit embarrassed about having voted for Boris Johnson, just to pick a fucking lunatic at random. So people will sort of separate themselves from it. Some people won't. Some people will be fucking hardcore for a while, but eventually it will just fizzle out, because there won't be anything happening. There'll be no energy in the movement. And is he going to, well, how old will he be in fucking 2028? He'll be in his fucking 80s. Is he going to still be doing this?
He does have children, though. For that.
Yeah, I know, but have you seen him?
Unfortunately. Udi and Kissy.
I think it is my hope that
how much marching powder can sustain them to get to 2028.
I also think the pendulum swings back and forth, and it is my hope that at this point it's sort of reached the nadir of its arc towards fascism, and it'll just sort of, let's just lose momentum and it's going to swing back the other way, and we'll maybe get a few years of normality. There's been too fucking much. It's been too much over the last few years. Everyone just be normal.
I think to give the Americans some credit, not all of them, but some, is that unlike, I would say, in England, you mentioned voting for Boris, for example, you don't hear many people going like, yeah, I'm really embarrassed about that. I can't believe I fell into that.
You can't vote for Boris and be a person who experiences shame.
Yeah. Good point, well presented.
Also, not many folk get the chance to actually vote for him. Like they maybe said, my boring local candidate was actually all right or whatever.
Aye. But I will say that I think people in the States that obviously there were people, normal-ish people, that did vote for Trump because they just wanted to shake things up. So, you know, the best of intentions and all that. But I think those people have actually a lot come out on record and really been, you know, I just, on a side point, like Ronda Rousey recently came out having totally admitted getting taken down the kind of conspiracy rabbit hole about, you know, the Sandy Hook school shooting not happening and stuff like that. And wrote like a really nice, like, I completely fucked this up. I completely went off the rails. And if you're being radicalized or have been radicalized, there is a way out. You know, you can go back.
Yeah.
And I think I was like, that's really cool. Like to see
best
that
public apology I've ever seen from any.
like I fucked up.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah, I was really impressed by it.
She says she's been hit in the head so many times.
Yeah. We see. I thought that's maybe the direction. Like, I was really concussed for most of that shit, but no.
Actually, she doesn't blame anybody other than herself.
Correct. Yeah. There's
Responsibility.
Yeah. But that's, I wouldn't say it's common, but at least you're seeing that, which means like, oh, right, lessons have been learned. So it's not, you were saying there about there's two ways you'll do that. Either you just pretend I didn't get caught up in all that shit, but I think it's in the American side of it, I think that some of them are owning it and saying like, yeah. And I think even like the Republican Party itself, like they've kind of done a bit of that to go like, well, I'm a Republican all my life and I support this party, but I cannot endorse what this shit is, which has not really happened over here with the Tories so much. That has been radicalised, and England's just kind of gone with it a wee bit in a way that...
There have been a few Tories who have sort of stood up and spoke out and said, like, this is not...
Well, Theresa May, I guess, kind of did, sort of-ish, maybe.
Slightly, somewhat.
Yeah, but...
No, she wasn't really the person I was thinking of, but there have been a couple of people who've sort of been like, this is not the fucking...
We had that like, Change Party, what was that party called?
Well, John Major was one of those. John Major came out and was saying this is all going a bit fucking mad. But yeah, generally speaking, though, I would say it's not been common practice to identify. Like, I mean, Brexit's another one. I mean, where you don't really hear a lot of the media talking people that are going, yeah, we got fucking swindled there. Like, you know, not admitting that I got dupes, I got suckers. And I think that's been quite good to see in America, where there's more of an acknowledgement of that. I just think that's quite nice when people take responsibility for it, and people should not be shamed for that. Like, you know, Rhonda shouldn't catch heat for that apology. That was really good. She should have got heat for saying all the shit she said in the first place about Santignon. I mean, she never actually said any of this, as far as I know. It was just that she, like, it's the sharing articles thing. It's the kind of the J.K. Rowling technique of, like, you don't really say... really nasty stuff. You
the J.K. Rowling technique that she employed maybe a year ago, but now she's just full fucking bananas.
Yeah, let's still this because I'm a monk mode, isn't it? I'm offline.
Every time I see a screenshot of her tweet now, I have to actually search to check if it's real because they're all really fucking bonkers.
They're all mental, and you think, no, somebody like, surely fucking made out.
Back since was it the...
You're back, yeah.
So yeah, because there was the whole drama around her making some wild accusation against, was it an Iranian boxer?
Yeah.
Not Iranian, but yes, Algerian.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
Algerian boxer. Oh, okay, apologies for that.
But some no fucking evidence.
Well, I was going to say
a man Khalif.
Yeah. Because the accusation of that was apart from the fact it was a horrible thing to say, just fundamentally horrible. But you know, the country she was representing, obviously the laws of that country, like that's actually really fucking dangerous to have done that too.
Yeah, she could get her killed.
You told me that then Joanne had then got radio silent, and you were sort of checking in every day.
I was giving you updates. I was like, it's been 9 days, guys. 2 weeks.
She shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And then
what were the withdrawals like? Just her in her mouldy kitchen, just fucking shaking next to her keyboard.
Sure,
you know,
she had like 17 different alts, so she was swapping back and forth.
Oh, absolutely.
I never left. I was there the whole time.
I'll go on my Brian Spanner account. Just
Is he still, or are they still going? Or we should say, you know, Brian Spanner 1. Yeah, wow, that's a throwback. Is that okay legally for us to suggest that she was that known that she was behind that? I mean, I just kind of suspected at the time that she was.
That it was a few different folk running the account. I think Ewan McCombs, the Scotsman, was definitely suggested to be one of the people, because I think at one point the account tweeted a screenshot of itself attaching to an open Wi-Fi network that was a printer and sending stuff, and somebody used an online lookup service and was able to identify where that network was, because it was a sort of like BT router. And there's a website actually where that'll tell you when people have scanned and uploaded, it'll tell you locations. And it was not Logs, one of the other ones. Really? No, up the way. Saltcoats, or what's the one next to Ardrossan? I think it was in Ardrossan. And yeah, that person had gone and checked it out, and then they sort of leaked it to somebody else, and so there was a whole day of people sort of saying. And I think Ian McComb has some connections to Ardrossan, so there was accusations that it was him. So yeah, there was a great day of people making jokes about Paul.
It's such a weird thing to do, because like, you know, I think back in the day they did parody accounts for, like, you know, we were like quite young, and also we weren't like sleek yet. Like everyone knew it was us or whatever, but the idea that you know 3 or 4 like old professional type people having like a sneaky wee troll account on Twitter.
Yeah, like actual journalists.
That's what I mean. That's fucking sad.
And a children's author,
Yeah.
potentially.
I think it kind of came after
Allegedly.
us one time.
Maybe.
It's like,
Also, billionaire.
Yeah.
I just also I think they sort of tried to sort of come after us, being like, oh, like anonymous and whatever, blah blah. And I was like, no, it's just me and Pete.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, it's just like, whoa, you got us, you know. Whereas like with them, yeah, it's way worse the other way around. When you're like, as you see a professional journalist behaving like that, like grow the fuck up, like you
I'm
loser.
just like a 25-year-old shit poster. Like, what the fuck?
What's your excuse?
Yeah.
I
And you'd got, I think at one point one of them had been logged into the account rather than their main account, and it sort of made I'd sort of chatted to Stephen Daisley about meeting him at the STV, at the BBC canteen, an STV canteen or something like that.
but there's nothing to do. We don't, just for the record, for legal sake, no evidence that Joanne was involved in this, but there was rumours.
But she used to chat to the account.
I'm very friendly with this. There's obviously something she knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if she's gone right off the fucking deep.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, she's back. So we come back to the bottom.
So
Well,
the
let's
problem
talk about
is,
2 weeks.
she, obviously the Olympics was in Paris.
Yeah.
So France is very strong sort of defamation kind of laws and stuff like that. So as boxers put, the legal stuff in France. So that's probably why Joanne is shitting herself currently.
Well, she came back, she returned to Twitter, and then almost immediately shared an article by one of our fucking simps about like basically defending her original position. It's like, all right, okay, so I've been away, I've learned nothing, I'm back now. But it was just funny because I think the case that Iman Khalif has brought against, like, so it's X and Elon and Joanne, it's for cyberbullying. Like, it was an orchestrated fucking cyberbullying campaign. So it's not that I don't think she's going with the defamation thing. I think it's like, you fucking massively harassed me. I went from being just a regular fucking person to overnight the entire world is speculated about my genitals, zooming in on my genitals, editing, doctoring photos of me, calling me all these names. And you are a fucking public figure and you used your platform to do this. So then all of Joanne's, everybody was obviously like, this is hilarious, this is great, this is happening, I hope she goes to jail, that would be amazing. Right. So everyone was obviously doing that, and then all her little like hangers on were like, yes, but what she fails to realise, he fails to realise, is that if he does this, he's going to then have to definitely do a chromosome test and show it. And it's like, no, that's not how that works, actually. If you are suing somebody for harassment, and then that person, like, so if somebody calls you, like, a ginger specky cunt and, like, bullies you, and you're like, that's bullying, your teacher doesn't go, well, to be fair, yeah, actually, are a ginger specky cunt. Like, yeah, ginger and specky. So you don't know, that's not actually how it works. You are a public figure who led a mass harassment campaign against this poor woman. So I just...
Why also, it's such a weird target as well, like someone that can knock you out, like, or knock your head off with one hit. Like, why would you pick that? It's like me tweeting something racist about Mike Tyson, like about Death Wish. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, you know what I mean? Jesus Christ.
This dude's got a tiger.
And he's still more dangerous.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's horrible and stupid, which is the point we made in the episode about her. Yeah, there's like, yeah, she's both dumb and evil. Well, she's evil. She's been, I guess, betting on the wrong horse. To tie this back to the main point, isn't it? There's a lot of people that, really got on a train of politics, of radicalisation circa 2016, maybe earlier. And, really went the wrong way. And she's just had ample opportunities to step off that loony train and has just not taken a single one of them because her ego won't let her do it.
I mean, there's plenty of bigots, like, 'cause that's not a very special thing. She wouldn't bother me as much if she wasn't so fucking smug. just fucking smug.
Look on her face all the time, like she's been. This is a Lily Savage lie, but like she's been sniffing someone else's tights. Right?
It's the way she fucking. It's her turn of phrase. The fucking smug, self-satisfied. I could just.
We shouldn't have brought her up. We shouldn't have brought her up.
They shouldn't have. All that money.
We told
we
yeah, we said
what episode we're never going to mention her name again.
You cannot be named.
Yeah.
Seriously, though, all that money and you can't fucking buy yourself a bottle of Sillet Bang mould away.
Final thoughts on the US election then before we take a wee break.
Right. One thing to bear in mind is like, because of the way America works, the president doesn't necessarily have all that much power relative to, you know, the other parts of the government. Problem is, in his last term, Trump had one achievement, which was getting a couple of nominations to the Supreme Court. And that's probably more powerful than them actually getting the presidency, because the president, obviously they've got control over, like, you know, war basically, which they shouldn't actually have. Like, they should actually be going to Congress to make like acts of war and stuff. But so, you know, the whole Ukraine thing could be a big problem. But aside from that, and like the Democrats are just as bad when it comes to Israel as the Republicans are. But in terms of like your kind of day-to-day business of, you know, running the country, president has not as much power as like a prime minister has here. So it is different in that respect. So it depends how all the other elections go in America, not just the presidential election, but that's one thing to bear in mind.
I mean, unless Trump gets in and Project 2025 works and then he becomes America's God King and then he is most powerful. But he's not going to get in. I mean, it's kind of bonkers that the fate of the world is going to be determined by how fucking Americans are voting. I have no faith in them as a people. But I mean,
we have to bring it back. We have to talk about cyberbullying. We have to bring back bullying Americans. We used to be a proud nation of people, and just in Europe, we'd look down on them. But it's the kind of Americanization of the United Kingdom that slowly happened over the last 20 years. Like, we need to bring back the fact that we're European and we're proud and we're not those weirdos over there. We need to stop emulating them. Just bring back bullying Americans, I think.
Wedges.
Canada has to step up as well. We have to get a bit more punchy about it. Mexico should too. Just encircle them, bully them until they fucking sort themselves out. That's it.
Yeah. So honestly, I always did like Kamala Harris. I was surprised that she flailed a little bit in the vice president role, but thinking about it, maybe for someone that's been in intellectually rigorous positions for a long time, the vice president was maybe, it's an ornament of a job. So maybe it wasn't the best thing for her. I think she's running an absolutely excellent campaign. I think the approach of just fucking laughing at them, and rather than when they go low, we go high. And now it's like, when they go low, we will fucking kick them in the arse while they're down there. That needs to be
and laugh at them.
And laugh at them while they're fucking sprawling around on the floor. That will hopefully work. It certainly seems to be invigorating younger voters. So I hope she wins. I actually think she'll be very good.
Just on that point you were saying about her maybe kind of wobbling a bit in the vice presidency role, I did notice that when Biden, when he was doing the Ukraine conference, we talked to all the journalists, they kept asking, like, are you okay going to all these meetings, talking to all these world leaders? You seem like an old fuddy-duddy, what's going on? And he was really coming across all the time like, I'm doing all of it. I'm doing all of this. I'm meeting everyone. It's me. And I kept thinking, right, does that mean that you're not delegating some stuff to Kamala because you've got doubts about her ability, or are you just, is that necessarily her fault, or is that Joe's fault? That was the first time I really thought about that, because we did chat about this a bit off the podcast, about when you look at her Wikipedia page, the vice presidency, it's like a few paragraphs.
But that's every vice president.
Yeah, aye.
It's like that ceremonial. But like that is what a VP is. It's a ceremonial.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not necessarily a reflection just to on her. I think that's what you're saying basically. That don't let anyone be lulled into thinking that doesn't mean she can't do the job or whatever.
So it wasn't the case when Joe Biden was VP. But that was because Barack Obama was actually quite inexperienced. he had not been a senator for very long, and he did not have the lie of the land with, who's who, what's what, who can be relied on, who on the other side can be talked to, this, that. And Joe Biden had massive institutional knowledge. So Joe Biden was a really active vice president in terms of being like the last voice in the room that Barack Obama would listen to, because he always knew where you could press in terms of Congress and Senate with Republicans and Democrats to get the results you wanted. But Joe Biden didn't need a Joe Biden because Joe Biden was Joe Biden.
When I said about the Wikipedia page that would exactly go on Joe, was his bit's quite extensive for this reason. And you obviously mentioned Dick Cheney. So within my sort of lifetime, the expectation has been the vice president's actually quite busy. But then but just to clarify that, don't be misled by that fact. I think that it's not necessarily a reflection on horribility. It's just that that's kind of what the role more actually is supposed to be.
Yeah, and I think it is, we did do a lot of slagging of Joe Biden in the last time we recorded. But, I mean, yeah, he does have all of that knowledge. It's just a shame he can't communicate it because he speaks exclusively Entage, it seems like, just but I do.
That's a niche joke.
Is it?
A little bit, but I get it.
Okay, just but I do, as much as I have a soft spot for Joe, I do, but I am quite excited to see how Kamala sort of picks up the ball and runs with it, because so far I think she's been absolutely killing it. I didn't have high expectations, but so far she's exceeded them.
Also, I really want to know what her skincare routine is. She's 59. She looks fucking amazing.
It's
I didn't know she was that. I didn't know she was.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm fucking saying.
Oh, yeah, well, I know that, but I know now. But I had no idea. No, I thought she would have maybe kind of early 50s, tops, really. So.
She looks fantastic.
Yeah, good for her. Good.
One of the criticisms folk have of her is she's changed her mind about just every policy she's had. Like, she was against fracking, now she's for it. So personally, I find that pretty obnoxious, but I guess, from a political point of view, it's probably good.
Yeah.
Because, like, you, as a president, you've got to just go with what's going to get you the votes, really, don't you?
Yeah.
We could do a whole podcast criticising, like, the Democrats and all the policy side of it, but, I think we're probably are more focusing on the personalities, because unfortunately that is how the presidential race works in America. You're not really, policies don't ultimately matter all that much at all.
This is one of the problems. I saw a little, a little video bit on Twitter a few weeks back, and when you see something go, that's it, and that makes total sense, and that guy's totally right. And it was that after Nixon, the Republicans had shed a lot of intelligent, decent voters, but they realised that there was this massive class of voters that nobody had reached to, and that was stupid voters, and they've been going after stupid voters ever since.
Can they find their way to the polling station? It's a problem with stupid people.
Yeah, but and that's why so much of the Republican base really likes Trump. Like, he talks, we understand him. He speaks to us. He speaks like we do. Yeah, that's because he's stupid. He speaks like a 12-year-old.
It's deep space humor, isn't it? Is this basically, we have to get the big dumb guy to relate to big dumb America.
I reckon he's got an IQ, based on his sort of, the level of vocabulary and stuff like that. They reckon he's got an IQ in the 70s. He's a fucking diagnosable moron.
So about him and Elon Musk get on so well. They're both sub 70, I would say.
Yeah, intellectually subnormal.
What do you make of Kamala's VP pick?
I'm really, really pleased with him. I thought she was going to go with the astronaut whose name I've completely forgotten in this moment, but because he had such a good history and all the rest of it, but I think he's a little bit sharp. I mean, like, sharp edges. No, not Shapiro.
Gabby Gifford's husband.
Gabby Gifford's husband, yeah.
Just call him that.
Mr. Gabby Gifford.
Yeah.
I mean, he even has a spare to be spare as well, because he's one of, like, twin. They're both astronauts, like twin astronauts. Fuck me. But so I really thought they would go with him, Mark Kelly. But and I didn't know Tim Walz at all. But he just came barreling out of the fucking gates, making jokes and just generally being like some character you would absolutely love in Cheers. And I just thought, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, he's a fantastic narrator. He's really, really good at just coming across as a fucking normal guy. And what a breath of fresh air that
Yes, just total.
I think it's good as well that white, bald, middle-aged guys are finally getting some representation in politics as well.
the most marginalised group in society.
What is it about that appeals to you, Free?
Something about it we didn't connect with. I don't know what that is.
White people.
About time.
But
Especially with Swinney, that would be the...
Yeah, and
Rise us, we are legion.
that's coming up free.
Just need Starmer to shave his head and all. The full shebang.
Wait, actually,
Is he the guy that came up with calling the Republicans weird? Is that his kind of phrase?
I think he's like, they're all fucking weirdos. Why are they talking about this?
that feels like an obvious one that's been sat there for about several decades. They could have been utilised.
It's like fucking yes, keep calling them fucking weirdos because they are. And then they
really annoys them.
They lost their fucking minds and they were like, oh, this is so childish. This is so childish.
It's so perfect. It's the weirdest person we've ever seen going like, I'm not weird. I'm normal.
I keep seeing these before and after shots of them before they've had whatever this fucking House of Horrors plastic surgery they're all doing to themselves. And you're just like, what are you doing to your faces?
Matt Gaetz looks like fucking Slappy the Dummy figure.
They look like they've been drawn by whoever did Beavis and Butthead all don't they? They've all got these kind of jutty out eyebrows and the cheek.
One side's got astronauts, the other side looks like aliens.
Do you know who Matt Gaetz actually looks like? It's
Right.
just come at me. Gary from Team America.
Gary.
Actually,
Suck
the
my cock, Gary.
everything, it's uncanny.
All right, okay. If this podcast still had a video element, you could see that now. Because
Google it.
we've
Lazy.
abandoned it.
You can get your phone on you right now. He does. But yeah, they are a bunch of fucking weirdos. And that has been the Democrats' biggest fucking problem, is that they've been too committed to being civil. And like, you should be going out there and calling them fucking weirdos and rapists and call them all the fucking bad names in the world, because Trump's doing it.
It was Sturgeon's problem as well. It was the same thing that was she was trying to be like a diplomat, going like, have you seen what you're dealing with? Like, we're not playing off of those rules anymore. This has changed. You can't engage with these people in a civil debate. It doesn't work because they're uncivil. So the way you do it is what she's now doing. You're just laughing at them, going, you're a fucking joke. If you want to come up here and have a civil debate, bring a brain to the debate.
Yeah.
You know, don't wear a fucking clown suit rolling around the floor like a baby like you're doing. Exactly. Yeah, so I think now we've finally broken through that, get to the good shit.